And I'm Victoria Mattingly, or Dr. V, and we are two of the three co-authors of the book, Inclusalytics, How Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Leaders Use Data to Drive Their Work.
And we wrote this book for diversity, equity, and inclusion leaders, or DEI leaders, internal to organizations or even external, who are doing this work and need some insight on how to use data to drive their strategy.
Yeah, so we really wanted to put this book out there now because we recognize so many organizations are starting either from scratch or completely revamping their diversity, equity, inclusion efforts. And with our background as organizational psychologists, we specialize in the science of really the behavior change and the culture change that needs to happen. And at the root of all those things is measurement.
Yeah. And when creating this book, we went through and interviewed a lot of internal DEI leaders who were at different stages of their journey and at different types of organizations. And as Victoria said, applied our experience as well. And the plan is for people to be able to use this book as a playbook for taking a more data-driven approach. And in addition to the book, there's also a complimentary participant workbook that has a worksheet for each chapter to really help you bring this book to life in your organization.
Absolutely. And even though we wrote it really specifically to those DEI or people leaders, HR, anyone who's responsible for, executing and getting results from DEI efforts, there's a lot of interesting insights, case studies, examples that students might be able to benefit from, or those who just want to learn more about what this work looks like. And so, you could use it in lots of different ways. And as I said, we really wanted to get it out there as quickly as possible, which was our decision to self-publish. And so I'm super excited to introduce our third co-author, Allison Goldstein. Hi, Allison.
Hi.
Tell us a little bit about, because we're the organizational psychologists, Sertrice and I, but Allison, bringing you on was a game changer. Just tell us a little bit about yourself and your role with the book.
Sure. So I'm a professional writer and editor, and I specialize in working with people that have an area of expertise, such as academics, and making their information and language and findings more accessible to the general public, which is very much what you guys wanted to do for practitioners. So it was a perfect fit. It's a really interesting subject, and one that a lot of us that sort of are in or have been in the working world have experienced from the receiving end, but not so much on the driving end. And so it was really fun to be able to bring my small experiences there to bear on your behind the scenes efforts. So.
Yeah, and bringing Allison on as our third author, she ensured that Sertrice and I weren't just writing a book, an organizational psychology book for other organizational psychologists, right? We really wanted to make it relatable and conversational and just, it's Inclusalytics, right? It's inclusion and analytics, and to make it more of a story and a playbook for you all, we never could have done that without Allison's help and support.
Or got it done in the time we did. Between all of the work that we're doing, boots on the ground with clients, it was really great to have Allison's support there and help us get this over the finish line. This was a dream team for sure.
So we hope you get a lot of value from the book. Please let us know, write a review, share it, reach out to us. We want to know, are the exercises, examples, strategies that we're recommending, are they serving you and building a more data-driven, diverse, equitable, and inclusive strategy and organization?
Yeah. And speaking of things that you can do, one would be to get the book. And so we really wanted to highlight that out of excitement and to help it get out there to people. We do have it listed as 25% off right now until end of day Sunday. So it's a great time to buy one for yourself, or if you know of any other, DEI leaders in your organization that you think this could be really useful for, go ahead and buy one for them. Just take advantage of that sale while it's out there. And like we said, we want to have great conversations about this. So if you're interested in us coming in and doing like a book group on this or something, we'd be happy to come in and chat with your team about the book and the concepts in it and how it can relate to your organization. So we're really excited. As you can see, we could talk about this all day. So if you want to talk about it with us, just let us know.
And something that I know I mentioned earlier about the self-publishing, and Sertrice mentioned about the speed. We went from Post-its. Yeah, I went up to New York and spent a few days with Allison, and we had Post-its on topics and how to group them by the chapters and what the story is. That was June 1st. So less than 10 months. I mean, by like a day, but less than 10 months. We went from Post-its to published, and we have both the paperback and the hard copy on Amazon right now for purchase. It's just like unreal. And so, yeah, I'm overjoyed about it.
A lot of hard work, but worthwhile work. So
Yeah. So how were we to work with Allison? Like as someone, luckily we're not too academic. I'm the most out of the bunch for sure, and Sertrice keeps me in check with that, which I'm very grateful for. But how is the process for you as someone who has made a career out of working with academics and making their writing better?
Yeah. Well, luckily you're both really good speakers. And so whenever I could get you to talk on a topic, and this happens with a lot of academics, honestly, as soon as you can get them talking, they're able to explain things and offer stories and just sort of come off the top of their head with tons of really smart, relatable pieces of content. And so that was really fun because you were super reachable, and always willing to talk, whether that meant a voice memo or an actual conversation online. And so I found that was really helpful. And I think it also helped to get some of the ideas that we maybe didn't have on Post-its into the book. Because as we're talking through things, you guys would often think like, oh, like I have this client who has a really interesting story that we haven't like fleshed out yet. And so that was really enjoyable. And I love stories. So as soon as we could add more stories, I'm all for it. And I think one of the great things about this book from a practical perspective is that there are a lot of anecdotes in terms of how people actually use some of the things that you're suggesting. And I know that I, as a reader and as a writer, really benefit from seeing how things are done as opposed to just being given the steps. And so I think that that's a really like positive thing about this book. And you made it easy because you had lots of stories. So.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite parts of this process was really early on that we did those interviews. We had so many interviews, like I said, with leaders, not only internal, but also external. And some were, just starting, or maybe a one-person team versus having a whole department with different levels under them. And so getting to hear the similar, barriers that they were running into, but also the different challenges they had, successes they were having. It was just really powerful to kind of just see where the industry is with boots on the ground people, and also hearing them come together and want to learn from each other and from us and contribute to the book. So I'm really grateful that we were able to get in touch with so many great leaders to contribute to this as well.
Well, that's one thing I really love about working in this space, because I feel like a lot of other areas of business are a lot more hush hush and competitive, where we got to keep our cards to our chest because we don't want to, give something away. But with DEI work, oh my gosh, like it's already hard enough. And so if we're not coming together as a broader community and sharing resources and best practices, and in a lot of our consulting work, I get the question all the time, like, what are others doing? What's working other places, right? And so to be able to lend those stories in this book, I think will be a big value add to those who are seeking just other examples of what a data-driven approach to DEI could really look like. Sertrice, you came on right before we started the writing process. So that was very interesting. So you joined Mattingly in March of last year. Did you have your 1-year anniversary, or was it April?
Not yet. Yeah. So we had our first chat about it in March. I officially agreed in April, but then didn't complete the transition until May officially. So we can have multiple celebrations. We can have one in April where it's like, this is when she agreed. And then May, this is when she officially was here. So we can get parties, so we can celebrate me all the time.
I'm all about it. This could be the year of Sertrice as far as I'm concerned. But what was it like kind of, jumping into the new company, jumping right into the book? Like, talk
Yeah.
about really throwing you in the deep end, and
Yes.
you've crushed it. So it worked, obviously, but
Yeah, whenever I tell the story about me joining, I joke about how in that first conversation, you're like, have you ever thought about owning a business? I was like, no. And then you're like, have you ever thought about writing a book? I'm writing a book. And I was like, no. And then there I was a few months later, just kind of full steam ahead in both of those actions. And it was wild. It took a while for it to sink in that it was real. But I mean, honestly, I just wanted to contribute at that point. I was really grateful that you were, being my ally and giving me a platform and sharing your platform with me, because even if you brought me in, well, one, you brought me into your business as a co-owner, but two, you didn't have to bring me into the book process. And so for you to share that with me and make me a part of that, I really just wanted to show that, I earned my title on that cover page. And so was just really eager to dive in and help in any way I could. And so, it was really exciting. And I was just super, super thankful that all the stars aligned. And this is where we are. I've had people reaching out, the past few days now that everything's live and we've been posting about it, and everyone's like, congratulations, it's exciting. And I'm like, I know, it's so exciting. I can't believe it's real. So I think I'm back in that phase.
I'm grateful for these phases, because I feel like, especially starting a company and serving the clients that we get to serve, and now the book, it's hard. It's always go, 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 go. And so to take a moment like today and take a pause and celebrate. Speaking of celebrations, oh my goodness. So on April 11th from 5:30 to 7 Eastern here in Pittsburgh, Allison's coming down from New York. Sertrice is coming up from North Carolina. We're going to be partying here in Pittsburgh. We have the invite. Where do we post the invite? It's in our newsletter. So you can join our newsletter and get the invite to that, or reach out to any of us, and we're happy to share that with you. So you can either come join us live, have some champagne, have some appetizers. We're going to keep the presentations part really short and sweet, because we know the fun part is us all getting together. We do have a strict vaccination policy. So those of y'all that aren't vaccinated, you can tune in live. We're going to live stream the presentation part of the event. Anything that y'all want to call out? What are y'all excited about for the party?
Yeah, so I think it's like you said, the first hour or so, our plan is just to get together. So back to what we were talking about earlier, it's to connect with other people who are doing this DEI work internally, externally, adjacently. And so bringing them all to this event where we can get to know each other and talk more about successes, challenges, ideas, and of course the book, and celebrate the book. So I'm just really excited for that first hour of networking and connecting with other great leaders in this space. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I would second that. It'll be really fun to meet people who I've heard. Oh my gosh, something's going off in my room. But it'll be fun to meet people who I've only read about and heard interviews.
Yeah, I love that. Like, we can invite her back in. I got the control. Allie will be right back. But the fact that there's all these voices and the people we interviewed, and a lot of them will be at this event, which is so cool to bring people together, because I really wanted it to be an opportunity to bring more of this DEI community together here in Pittsburgh. Especially the last 2 years, it's been the pandemic, and we don't get very many opportunities to bring everyone together. And so we're hoping people turn out. Definitely come join us. Any closing thoughts, my fellow co-authors? Any final pitches for people to read the book, or any way to wrap up?
I will just really encourage anyone who does pick up the book to, no matter what you think, if you would share that in some capacity. You could write an Amazon review. You could reach out to any of us directly. When you write something, if any of you have written anything, it's so encouraging to just receive feedback, whether it's like, I have more questions, or I really related to some part of the book. So we would really appreciate it, especially because we're going to be writing more things in the future. And so it'll be great to get your feedback now to see how that might inform what we come up with next.
Yeah,
I love that. Thank you for that. What about you, Sertrice?
Yeah, so for me, I think I just want to take this chance one more time to thank everyone else who was a part of this process. So I've mentioned the interviewees, but like I said, we were running a business, right? So I want to thank the Mattingly Solutions team for all of their input, whether that was keeping things afloat or all of the help they did behind the scenes on the book and the launch. There's so much that goes into this process. And then a lot of our friends who, helped us in different ways, gave us random advice on launching a book or PR or whatever it was. We talked to so many people over the course of the past, less than a year. And so just really want to thank everyone who's been supporting us through this.
Yes, and come to the party. Let's toast. There's going to be live music there as well, which I'm so excited about. But yeah, just to, +1, everything Sertrice and Allison said. Share your feedback, get the book. We recognize this book isn't for everyone, right? Our next book will be. Our next book will be the New York Times bestseller. But, if you're interested in diversity, equity, inclusion, someone who is, anyone that in the HR or people leader space, feel free to get it for them. If you are a professor or a student watching this and you want to bring Inclusalytics into your classroom, I feel so honored and privileged that I got to do this project with these amazing women by my side. I'm so proud of this book. I know if people read it and genuinely apply what we recommend, they are going to see more progress and make more progress on diversity, equity, and inclusion in the organizations. And that alone is just something I'm so excited about. So thank you all for tuning in. I'm going to put the little book up again just to show you what it looks like. It's beautiful. Thank you to our graphic designer, Ian White. Thank you for tuning in. Let us know that you got the book and that you love it, and leave us comments, and have a great day, everyone. And we're so excited to see where this book goes. Bye.